As we know, there are many steps in the home buying and selling process that help us to get to closing day. One of those crucial steps is putting money into escrow. In this video, I'm going to give you some insight on what escrow is, what it means, and how it affects both the buy side and the sell side of the transaction. When the buyer makes an offer on the home and the seller accepts, the buyer puts earnest money into an escrow account. The amount is usually a percentage of the total home cost. This shows that the buyer is serious about their offer and shows the seller that they have the funds to move forward with the purchase of this home. So first we're going to talk about the buy side. So once the seller accepts the offer, like I said, the buyer will put the money into the escrow account, and this will be the earnest money, so a percentage of the home price. This typically lasts about 30 to 60 days in the escrow period. The buyer will schedule an inspection right away. In Illinois, there are 5 days from the day the contract is accepted to have that inspection done. Then the lender will also order an appraisal to make sure the property is worth the amount that the buyer has financed for the property. And then there's also a final walkthrough, which will be done 24 hours prior to closing to be sure that the property is in the same condition as when the buyer made their offer. So during escrow, buyers should not make any major purchases, open more lines of credit, or make any changes to their employment, just to make sure that it doesn't affect the mortgage loan. During this 30 to 60 days before closing, buyers will also want to set up their home insurance, schedule movers, schedule cleaners if that's needed, and take measurements of the home, and that way you can start planning like where you want your furniture to go and all that fun stuff. Once the transaction closes, buyers will then use an escrow account to pay property taxes and insurance. Now we're going to talk about the escrow period on the sell side. So once sellers accept the offer, it might seem like everything is set and sellers may want to switch gears to packing and moving. Unfortunately, however, the inspection and appraisal period may keep the sellers focused on the current property all the way until closing day. So during this period, sellers will want to make sure that everything works and is in good condition in the home. If any issues come up during inspection, the seller will want to be prepared to either have those things fixed during that escrow period before closing or provide credits at the closing table. For the appraisal, the home will also need to be in show condition, so that will ensure that the property appraises for the value that the offer was accepted. Same thing for the final walkthrough. The buyer and the agent come through 24 hours prior to closing just to be sure that the property is in the same condition as when the buyer made the offer. If it's not, the seller may need to make necessary repairs, which could delay closing, or the buyer can also back out of the deal. Typically during this escrow period, the seller will also provide insurance records, disclosures, deeds to the house, manuals or instructions to any of the home systems, and any other insight that the buyer may want to know about their new home.